So my name's Alan Morgans. I'm the National Coordinator of the Lab Network. The Lab is a computer and social club for young people with autism and Asperger's. We run a network of sort of after school, weekend, computer club sessions for young people with autism and Asperger's who are interested in gaming and coding. So the lab has a number of aims. I guess the main aim is to increase young people's capacity for social engagement and also to develop their technical skills, their technology skills in coding, game development. It's primarily, I guess, games are the main activity at lab sessions. Face-to-face sessions, participants do, a wider range of activities, board games, things like that. The main aim is to increase capacity for social connections and developing friendship skills, and also increasing their technology skills. So the lab started in 2010. It was started by Dale, who's a member of this group, and Stefan Schutt. It was started with a Vic Health grant, and has grown to a network of over 30 venues around the country. The Lab Network was started in 2015 in response to the growth of the lab and the popularity of lab sessions. The lab started with one group in Footscray in Melbourne, and by 2015, I think had grown to about 10 or 12 groups. Would that be right, Paul?
Yeah, it's about right.
And that just required more administration and more governance than the then volunteer board of the lab could really manage. It's been a bit of a victim of its own success and popularity. So the board then formed a new not-for-profit company called the Lab Network. And the Lab Network's role is to support the administration and governance of the growing network of labs around the country. As I said, we've now grown to around 30 venues. I think the Lab Network was started in 2013, and I came on board in 2015. I'd known Stefan from working together at Vic Uni for about 15 years. And when I left Vic Uni, I got involved with the Lab Network. So it's a fantastic activity. It provides a fantastic service for young people who, have social challenges, who don't, naturally gravitate towards social engagement. So essentially leveraging their interest in technology as a means of fostering social connections is a really simple idea. Engage kids in something that they really enjoy doing, and they do it in the company of their peers. So, and that's just proved to be really successful. We've had an online program since 2016 using Zoom, and that was originally set up with a Lord Mayor's Charitable Foundation grant from the Melbourne Lord Mayor, and we ran a pilot for that using Zoom in 2016, and that's been pretty successful. It's experienced kind of sort of slight growth until the beginning of this year when COVID came along, and we've been running up to 10 sessions a week since the end of term one this year. So that's been working really well. And that's been growing. I think kids are using Zoom a lot for school. They've become really familiar with it. And it's settled into a really effective program. So in the past, we've been involved with PAX, which is the International Gaming kind of convention, expo. We've been involved in the Diversity Lounge there, which is where community groups, not-for-profits can present their programs and their activities. And the lab has been involved there for the last couple of years. This year with PAX completely online, we were invited to be a part of the online program. And this was the Inclusion Lounge, or the Inclusion program. I can't remember the accurate name of it. So we asked a couple of labs, a couple of the online sessions, if they would be interested in possibly developing a couple of games that they could present at PAX. And the participants got very excited about this and responded with a couple of really fantastic projects. So these are essentially in development. They really had 5 weeks to develop these projects, and considering they only meet once a week, it was pretty fantastic project, fantastic outcome that they've come up with. So I might just run that video now. With PAX being online, we put this together as a pre-record rather than having a live panel. We thought that this was just going to work better for us. So this covers the games that the participants made, and also they talk a bit about the lab program, the lab online program, and what they really enjoy about sessions. So here, direct from the source, so to speak. So I'm going to share. I can do that. I'll do that. Are you seeing that full screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Great.
So, just quickly, everyone, in doing all these interviews, we've spoken a lot about the game, but we haven't actually heard from anyone A to Z what the game actually is.
Scrapnel right now is a sort of demolition derby game involved with all sorts of motor vehicles. They can be anything right now from a skateboard to a realistic APC. Those are the ideas that are being passed around. And basically you have the chance to upgrade your vehicles to have different stats, different power outputs, and you can also upgrade them to have different types of weapons and different types of defense systems to defend yourself against other players and their vehicles as well, such as guns. You can also have ramps. We're thinking about having ramps in front of vehicles to be able to push other vehicles out of the way. And a system that can possibly push your car up and flip you over to get out of the way of another person.
That's super cool.
It's sort of like a Battle Royale, but instead of people fighting, it's cars fighting.
Battle Royale with cars instead of people.
Yeah. I have worked on a third-person controller. Currently, it only works for person, but it will work once I get the 3D models working. So I've been working on the homepage of our website. It's currently only working with like these partners down here that aren't actually our partners, and some other images that we don't really need.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also been working on our game section, which just has our logo, and you click on it and it should bring you to a certain page, or download it once we've got the final thing ready.
So I have made a test map for Marcus to test the car.
Oh, sick.
And
Dude, that's huge. What did you use?
What?
What did you build it in?
Oh, Unity.
Sick. That's massive, man. That's huge work.
I have made this test map. I'm currently trying to do the terrain part of the map, but this is the track that I have now for testing. I'm still trying to actually get the car into the projects. I'm not sure how you'll actually get into this map, into the track, but I'll make like a entrance and exit ramp.
Like a pit road.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. So how'd you make it?
Basically, I just took one of the Unity driving templates tracks and just scaled it up.
Well, it looks amazing.
Yeah. I've been doing pixel art for the heading, the title, and I don't know, and what's it called? Power-ups. Like, we've decided to do power-ups, and we've been doing sketches and pixel art just to get the right shapes. And with the power-ups, they can all have different abilities that causes different effects to the cars.
So do you have any screen shares of your pixel art that we can see?
I've been using two different sites. So I've got the heading, which is Scrapnel right here, and then I've got some of our little power-ups. So I've been designing on a spike ball trap. So this would be all the different type of designs, and then we'll all vote on a design that we particularly like.
Dude, that looks awesome.
Yeah, so we're all going to vote on the spike balls and what's going to happen, like with all the power-ups as well.
I'm a game designer, so what I'm doing is coming up with basic designs of details or cars power-ups for the game, and giving them to our 3D people that are better at this than I am to make the thing into the game. So,
can you talk me through the process just from you through to the 3D developers? More focus on what you do. What is it exactly that you're doing when you say you design the basic elements of the game?
So I have to produce a sketch for example, if I need to make a car, then I just have to make a basic 2D sketch of a car and just add some little details so that the 3D developers know roughly what they're making.
So it's like a pipeline, and you get fed ideas, you sketch the ideas, and then you pass that on to the 3D developers.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you basically put the skeleton in, I guess, while they put on the muscles.
Yeah.
So this is Scrapnel. This is the game that the students in the Wednesday lab have come up with, a game for PAX. It's pretty amazing. We have AI, which is amazing. We've got a nice integer count down the bottom left there. We've got a lot of physics coming into play. Whoa, check that out. Crashed out, which is sick.
That's awesome.
They've designed some UI and made it work, which is really cool. Yeah, the 3D models on the cars are really good. They've actually got headlights and stuff, so the kids have really thought about like the effects and stuff. The AI is fantastic. Like, it just drove around me. It's pretty intuitive, actually.
That's amazing.
And for this to come out in a couple, well, the period of time that they had to make this is pretty awesome. Like, you know, coming up with a vertical slice or a demo in a professional studio can take anywhere from, you know, a week to a month, depending on the scope. And for a racing game, which is quite complex, for them to come out with something like this is amazing. And let's just see how the crash mechanics are. Beautiful. Fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I believe there's a jump as well.
That's amazing.
And look at this. So we've been learning some code, and I know the programmer for this was pretty new to code, and he's already picked up some object-oriented programming principles of encapsulation. Like, he has an input manager here, which is fantastic, because usually you would put it in just a flat sort of script. But here we go. We've got brake, which I wasn't using, which is right control and left. We have a throttle and steer, and we've got L. Maybe that is the flip. Let's see. Oh no, that's the lights.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but no, just in general, it's fantastic. Fantastic.
That's awesome.
This is Packception. This is a game made mostly by the kids at the lab, and it's awesome. They've made some of the sprites. They've helped out with some of the code and stuff, and they're working on animation and all sorts of other cool stuff.
What am I going to do at PAX? There's so much features that I'm going to try out. So a few weeks ago, I just made this little avatar. So this is me. I've been in the lab for 1.5 years. Once my mum just showed me the lab thing, I was pretty excited and nervous because I can't wait to see what it's all about.
I've learned a lot more about the games and and coding because I recently downloaded Unity, so I do have that, so I've learned a bit more about that.
Is there anything about your marketing stuff or anything that you helped out with Packception that you wanted to share?
I had this idea about how having packs inside packs, literally, you could also have the word packs inside packs. So people could try to see how far down it goes, which would get them more attracted to the poster.
That's brilliant marketing, Finn. Great work. I mean, sorry, Bra 101. That's brilliant marketing. Great work. Is there any final things that you wanted to say about the lab, or you wanted to say to the people at PAX?
Well, I hope that COVID gets better, and I hope that we can all actually meet in real life for the next PAX.
Hello, Animal Lover Gamer 101. How are you?
Hi.
Is there any stuff that you've done on PAXception that you'd like to talk about, or maybe share your screen and show some of the stuff you've done?
I've been doing like designing like objects and characters. So I've done some things like this is my character and some other objects I've made. I've done some beanbags. I've done some shading on the beanbags to make them look realistic. This is a bin. I did some screens for we can put like presentations that other areas have been doing, and that's what I've been doing.
So this is PAXception. This is the idea that some of the students from the participants from the Tuesday Lab came up with. The idea was that they were going to go to PAX to show off their game, and the game would be PAX. And basically the idea is you'd go down to different booths and you'd play mini games on consoles, and then you'd collect badges to win the game. And that they all wanted themselves to be inside PAX in different parts. So it was like a very Easter egg mini game, carnival style kind of game. And it was really cool. This class was particularly good with their 2D art. So we see a lot of really high detailed sprites, and these were all from different students. And there was a lot more on the way. And we have here we have a bunch of sound effects for dialogue that the students were planning on. So they were recording themselves, writing dialogue for the different parts. And then the game itself at the moment was just to be exploring around PAX and interacting with these people, talking to them, going into booths to play mini games and collecting badges. That was cool. That was it. Yeah.
Really cool.
PAXception.
PAXception.
What's your favorite thing about the lab?
I get to talk to other people and have fun. I play games and I make games and code and do stuff like that. I've learned how to use some of the things like Unity, and I also learned how to play some card games that are actually really fun.
I've had a few times throughout the lab, especially with all this COVID stuff, and especially when my dad got sick and we had to move away. I just wanted to forget about the lab, but now that we're doing this game, it's got me back into wanting to really get into it and do it again.
That's awesome.
What's this in giving up if you've been doing it for, what, 4 years now?
That's awesome, man. What's your favorite thing then? Why do you keep coming back?
We can actually speak to other people, discuss what we like, and work on projects that we like as well.
Oh yeah, so basically at the lab, like, I don't really do much. I usually just play games with all the other dudes there.
And do you like playing games with everyone?
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's not strictly true though, because actually you often show me different 3D models and things that you've been working on.
Oh yeah, from like school, like the Unreal Engine projects that I do at school.
So sometimes you do a little bit of work on those as well, don't you?
Yeah, like yeah. I have created my own Unreal Engine game, but it's.
Do you think that at the lab having the mentors makes it easier to make the games? Is it nice having them around?
Yes, it's nice having them around. Bonson definitely knows, like Unity and all that sort of stuff. It's actually. He knows how to actually like make a car, unlike me.
He does know how to make a car. What's your favorite thing about the lab sessions, mate?
Get to hang out with new people, like every week, once a week. Discord.
That's pretty
nice. Much every day. Yeah. Just talking to people.
So what I like about the lab is just, I guess, all the friendly people and that we all get, and like we all connect with each other, We always talk. We always play games with each other. It's just really involved. Yeah.
Do you like the online lab sort of? Do you find it helps you communicate with people a little easier?
Yeah, it helps. It helps me communicate with people much better than outside.
Doing good.
Cool. So first of all, what's your favorite thing about the lab?
Playing games with each other, hanging out, talking some pretty cool stuff and funny stuff as well. I miss going to the lab in person, but due to the virus, we're doing it online.
Has there been anything cool that you've learned from the lab?
Drawings, doing some pixel art, coding, Unity, and game making.
Awesome.
And 3D stuff as well. I just spell over my iPad.
Hello, Rain Dance.
I think I need to look professional, right?
Yeah, look.
Well, I just like spending time with my friends, basically, and playing video games at the same time.
Yeah, I like to play video games there too. I've been going here for 5 years, so I've been there since 2015, since I was 10 years old.
So what else what's your favorite thing about the lab, other than that?
My favorite. There's a lot of good things, actually. Well, I miss the real lab. I like this, but I miss going to the lab and spending time with my
I miss going to the lab physically too. I liked it when we met each other physically instead of virtually. I like it better physically.
Is there anything in particular that you've learned from the lab that you like? Or?
Mainly friends. They're the ones I admire.
I make friends.
And then second, games.
New games and friends.
So you guys both have your own YouTube channels and you make your own content and you guys work together sometimes. Do you guys want to talk about that and share something about that?
Yes, I make video game content. Please subscribe to Wizard Bob with no space in between. Wizard Bob. No space. And then people would just be putting their hand up. Why Wizard Bob? It's like that magic word I made up when I was little. And then the next one would go, why is it not why is it one word? I'd say because there's already one with the space.
I've started a YouTube channel a long time ago, so I have 17 subscribers right now. And I've recently started a cardboard cutout series. It's not a paper series, it's a cardboard cutout series where there are different types of characters. But my favorite one is Muchacha, who is the Indian school kid.
It's cool to hang out with people, everyone's friendly and it's just a good place for us to be. It's like hanging out with people, having fun, just having a good time socializing. I learned how to better work with other people, so that's good.
So, hey, bro, 101, what's your favorite thing about the lab?
Probably the meets where we get together because it really helps socializing. I think it's better to be in face-to-face because it kind of is better for socializing. But with the online lab, you can stage events. You can show stuff to the whole thing, people and everybody. So, and you can also you can talk more about and you can mute people. So it's, I guess, if somebody's being really annoying, like spamming something, then the co-host or hosts can mute them. So it's kind of easier. I've learned a lot more about the games and coding because I recently downloaded Unity. So I do have that. So I've learned a bit more about that.
What's been? You guys been keeping it real this week, or have you been keeping it ethereal and hypothetical?
Wait, what?
Hello, mate. How are you?
Yes.
Yes. Neither good nor bad, is it?
Well, it's up for you to interpret.
Well, I'm a glass half full kind of guy, so I'm going to say probably you're in a good mood.
It depends on what has happened to the contents first.
That's true.
If it's being filled halfway, then it is half full. But if it is being emptied to the half point, it's half empty.
Hello.
So you're right. Glass half full or glass half empty is not really complicated. It's not the whole story, is it?
All right, so everyone, tell me what you've been up to this week. One at a time. Bit of video games, chill.
Yep. So, no school tomorrow.
I've been working on the website.
Sorry about that.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Great stuff. Is that using HTML? Are you using WordPress or?
Yeah, HTML, just HTML.
Beautiful.
Nice one. And CSS, presumably.
Yeah, HTML and CSS.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I like coding. Like HTML.
Darcy,
I've also been working on
well.
one of my friend's business's website too.
Oh, really? What's the business?
It's horse riding and horse whispering.
Cool. I'm really good at horse whispering. Horse. Horse. Am I doing it? Nothing.
No.
Absolutely nothing.
You're really funny.
Thank you. All right, so who have we got in the session today? We got Bruno, we got Marcus, we got Cam, we got Solomon, we got Bruno again, we got Lucas Myers.
Wow, that's
Okay,
great, Alan.
That's that lab. So I think it gives a really good sort of overview of sessions and the experience of participants and of mentors. The mentors do an amazing job.
Mm.
We've got a network of around 75 mentors currently around the country who are involved in the face-to-face sessions, and there's probably about a dozen who have been involved in the online sessions over this year. I think we must be getting close to around 200 sessions that we've delivered in since term one. There'll be a couple of hundred participants, I'd imagine, by now who've been involved.
So it's
yeah.
time for questions. I'd really love some questions from people, even Paul, who probably knows more than some. But so I'm going to start just to get the ball rolling. The kids all seem to be at home, so this is not a school time activity, it's an after school.
The lab has been as little like school as it can be.
Oh, I can see that, which is wonderful.
Yeah, well, that's quite deliberate.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of kids don't have great experience at school, so this is their space. And the lab is very much a self-directed activity, so there's no formal structure when they come into sessions, whether it's online or face-to-face.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very much what they want to do, and yeah, the activities that they want to be involved with. In the online sessions, we were using 2 mentors in every session. So we're running breakout rooms where we can have 1 mentor in each room. Some participants might want to play games. They might want to play Minecraft or Roblox. Scribble.io is popular with some of the younger kids. And then there might be another section of the group that wants to do some coding, that wants to develop their skills. So they'll go into a separate room, or they'll stay in the main room while the gamers want to go off into another room. So the breakout rooms have been a real boon for us. I mean, they've only really, it's been a development with Zoom for this year. So in previous years, we've been kind of limited by the number of participants we can have in a group. And also there's been that sort of, I guess, friction with the range of activities that 1 mentor or even 2 mentors in the same room can actually manage, because you can only have 1 person speaking at a time, essentially, in Zoom. So breakout rooms changed all of that, which was fantastic. The timing for us was absolutely brilliant.
I've only seen Zoom with breakout rooms included, so I can only imagine what it would have been like with just the 1 big space.
Yeah, it was difficult.
Yeah. So how do the kids get in touch with the program? I mean, I can see that you've got the website, but I mean, is it always accidental, or is it by referral? Or
no, we get a lot of referrals. Occupational therapists, psychologists, the autism networks in local communities. You know, there's a lot of people involved now. There's a lot of families involved, and we've only just started to look at national marketing. But previously, I'd say 90% of it has been word of mouth. Would that be right, Paul?
I think absolutely. Yeah, we haven't really, as Alan said, we haven't really done a lot of marketing over the years, but it's a little bit like wildfire in a sense when a lab opens up in a suburb somewhere or a community, because particularly for I was going to say particularly more for boys, but it's for both really. That for kids on the spectrum, particularly when they're getting into I guess late primary, early secondary school, there is really nothing out there. Hasn't been really anything at all out there for them to be able to socialise and to focus on, I guess, their particular passions. So it only takes one mother who's somehow got together in a local network with other parents with kids on the spectrum, also wondering what they're going to do to keep their kids occupied and happy. So that spreads pretty quickly. So they tend to come rolling through the door once you open up a lab. And we've had many labs start off with one session, end up running 3 or 4 or more. And one of our issues, we actually had an age recommendation or an age range of 10 to 16, which I guess we lived with for many years, but none of our participants did. So they'd turn up at 8 years old and be hanging around at 18, 20 or beyond.
Right.
So we're starting some older groups, have started now for some time, some older groups, and that's moving into more the vocational support type of area, getting them to think about what their particular skills and capabilities might lead to down the track. Whereas before they might not have had the confidence even to think about that. As we were saying before, the lab's as much unlike school as it could be, and many of our kids either don't attend school or attend school on a part-time basis because of the fact of their social issues and how they find it so difficult to deal with. So it's grown purely by demand by those who've been in many ways fortunate enough to come across it. Now we've got the opportunity, I guess, over many years, and having Alan in place, having the systems in place, policies, and I guess everything we need for individuals or organisations to run a lab. We're well and truly in the position now that we can support individuals and organisations to do that. So we're just at the position now after a number of years to go out nationally and basically support communities across the country to open them up. So there've been, as Alan said earlier, there's been about 30 so far. And we're hoping to double or triple that over the next several years.
That sounds great.
So Matthew's asked the question about are the mentors, programmers, educators, professionals trained in autism? No, we have a board who has a pretty extensive range of experience in autism service delivery, education, technology. And we're developing now more sort of, I guess, significant training materials for mentors. But, the mentors are there to facilitate the participants having fun. And they're sort of the experience that is important for them is to understand the games that kids want to play, to have the technology experience, to be able to help them to make games or do coding, whether it's HTML or JavaScript. We recruit mentors from educational institutions or, there's a game developers employment group on Facebook. We get quite a few people from there. But they're young people who have an affinity with other young people, younger people. So the age is significant. They're generally in their early 20s. And, as we picked up from the video, one of the prime sort of prerequisites is the ability to have fun. If the kids are having fun, they're going to learn and they're going to engage with other kids. So it's that sort of mix of technology, awareness, experience, knowledge with, really strong interpersonal skills and just being able to engage with the kids and make sure that everyone's got attention when they need it, everyone's supported, and everyone's involved. But that's not to say that it's a structured activity like that. It's very much if someone wants to come in and just watch and they have their camera off, then the mentors are there to check in every once in a while to make sure that they're still there, that they're involved, and then over time they'll turn their camera on and they'll get engaged. And the same in a face-to-face session. They'll sit on their own, and then over a period of time they'll get involved with the group. So the mentors are actually totally crucial to the experiences of the young people in lab sessions. We have incredibly low, I think one of the important things about the mentors is that we have incredibly low attrition. We've got mentors who've been with the lab since it started. Some of those mentors are now organisers. They're running their own labs. Some of the participants become mentors, and we do a lot of recruitment of new mentors. A very small percentage of that is replacing people who leave, unless they leave because changes in life, they have children, or they have other things that come along in their lives. But they have such a strong relationship with the lab that we have incredibly low attrition, which is, I think, a testament to the program.
So
yeah.
I'm not quite sure. The next questions, I guess, goes to that issue of difference between schools and workplaces and things like that. I noticed, when the kids were asked what they really liked about it was the friendships and the games and that. But do they see or talk about how this might help them, sort of face life, build careers, or sustain interests, things like that, or is that?
I guess, sure. I mean, they may have the awareness, especially some of the older participants may have the awareness of how it's helped them and the impact it's had. Feedback from parents is that it had a really positive impact on their relationships with other kids at school and their relationships within the family, that their self-confidence is increased greatly, and they look forward to the lab. The lab is kind of, for a lot of kids, the lab's the highlight of their week. It's something that they enjoy. It's their space. It gives them a lot of self-confidence. And the lab online, that project that they did for PAX, demonstrated that these kids have fantastic capacity to do really good work. I've been involved in education for a long time before being involved with the lab, and I know how difficult it can be for kids to collaborate on project development, and I think what they did was amazing.
So how did
in the time that they had available?
So if anybody's got any other questions, please ask. But I'm dying to know, how did they do that? Because next month I've got to run a course for a group of first-year university students, and I want them to work in teams. But I'm of concern from past experience that they're going to be expecting to be talked at. And yet your kids seem to not have that expectation.
I think it's testament to the impact and the skills of the mentors and the relationships that are there within the group, that they had assigned roles.
Right.
And they kind of relished that. That provided a structure that they could respond to. Some were doing artwork, some were doing coding, some were doing game design. That's not to say that there wasn't some friction between within the groups, but it was pretty minor, I think, given the way that these projects can sometimes go.
Well,
but I think the way that the mentors ran the projects and provided support to each of the participants, that made it work effectively. And they used Discord as well. So they were constantly in touch over Discord while they were having, during the sessions. Lab sessions run for 2 hours once a week.
Right.
So they've got their Zoom group as well as they're kind of chatting on Discord as well.
So they're running both Zoom and Discord at once, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very good at multitasking.
Yeah. I feel very selfish, but I'm sort of, I did say before we started that I was interested to learn from this how to work with a group of older kids. And I don't think I'm going to have time to learn Discord. I've looked at it, but And I appreciate once you know it, it can be simple. But I think
I'm sure it's just a chat. I've never used it before PAX last week, and I
Yeah.
spent a bit of time on it, and we used it during this presentation. But it's just it seems like a chat app.
Mm.
But I think one of the things that we do at the lab, in the lab online sessions,
Mm-hmm.
just because of the nature of the groups, is
Sure.
that the mentor is there all the time.
Mm.
The mentor is on. And from my experience with online learning in a master's 10 years ago,
Mm.
the tutor's got to be there. There was this
Yeah.
kind of idea in online education that you can kind of provide the material, cut everyone loose, and the tutor just comes in every once in a while and checks on things. And that doesn't work. From my experience in both that education experience and what we see in the lab, I think the thing that the lab provides is the constant presence of the mentor driving the project and making sure that everyone's either on board. If they're not on board, okay, well, we've got the second mentor, and maybe you know, the other kids will want to go off in a group and play games.
Mm.
There's, they've got that flexibility, but the presence of the mentor as an engaged party in the group is really important.
Mm.
That's something that maybe education doesn't always do that well. Online education doesn't always do that well.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, there are a lot of factors involved there, like how much time the university or the educational environment will actually provide for the person to do that.
Whoever said that online education was cheaper than face-to-face education has never done online education.
Or done the
They got it
maths
wrong.
around it. Yeah, exactly.
But because it's a fixed element, because of our duty of care, that continual presence in the session is part of what we do.
Well, I see that as very much a part of almost all games work. It's, you've got to have the facilitator, mentor, whatever, always available and present, particularly in that kind of context. Yeah.
I mean, we're currently developing training materials for mentors that are both for face-to-face and online. And, that's one of the big questions about driving engagement. Given limited resources, and that's the limited time resources of the mentors as well.
Sure.
They're often freelancers or they're students, and the lab is just one element of what they do. So what we can expect in terms of engagement and how we can maximize our access to their time that we've got by providing very streamlined training materials. That's one of the things we're working on at the moment.
That sounds great. Jeevan, or yeah, there's one there. Yes, please, Matthew.
Thanks, Alan, Paul. That's really touched me. I've got an autistic son, so really appreciate what you've been doing. I've just completed a course for the National Biosecurity Response Team mentors, and one of the things we did with them is we provided them with the Mental Health First Aid Australia online and blended learning course. So there's about 7 hours of online work and then 2 face-to-face online sessions. So these were all a fair bit older than your mentors, but I just had sort of the most diverse group of 20 odd people from around the country. All bar one got into the exercises and have taken a huge amount away. And certainly watching, I guess, some of the parts of the video, there is that risk that some of your mentors may witness self-harm, or they may have one of the kids actually start expressing some type of crisis. It might be a reasonably cheap way to provide some good pre-pack content to teach a mentor quite quickly their boundaries in helping. But mental health first aid, just Google them online, and if you've got any other questions about people, give me a buzz and I'll get you some good facilitators.
Fantastic, thank you.
Thanks, Matthew. That's a wonderful offer. We've it's one of the things that I guess that has surprised us over the 10 years now, that there have been such very, very few incidents that have occurred at either face-to-face labs or online. But every now and then we do come across, or a mentor will come across one of the participants who's saying some things that ring some warning bells. There was one only a few weeks ago who was talking about self-harm, for example. So
the only one this year in probably 200 sessions.
Wow.
That's amazing.
It's I think a significant part of, possibly a significant reason, is that they look forward to the lab engagement so much that they're in their best. I guess they're in their best space, their happiest space when they're at the lab. So we don't see those kind of if there's anything kind of under the surface, we tend not to see that. But what I think where that starts to there's the opportunity always for them to talk to the mentors, and it seems like the encouragement that the mentors give, and more than anything else, I guess, giving these kids confidence that they've been told that they're in the not right, not quite right club for so long. They come to the lab and they get a very, very different view to who they are and what their potential is and their capabilities and all of those kind of things. So they start to see a bit more of a future for themselves. So in many ways, just that experience is obviously, we certainly are fully confident it's a very positive impact on their life generally. But as you say, we do need to have in place the correct responses. So the one that we had recently, it's we have a policy in place and responses and who needs to be notified, etc. So we do have that in place. But I think the mentors would certainly benefit if there's something that we could put in front of them to, again, for surety and confidence for them, because they appreciate that they are taking on a risk as well. In these spaces, they're not autism experts. We don't expect them to be. But we do have some very basic, I guess, approaches that they need to take to make sure that the group are all protected and feeling safe. And beyond that, we follow up outside those lab sessions. But well worth us having a look at, Matthew. So appreciate that.
I think one of the great benefits that we've got is that we've got such a wealth of experience with the mentors. So many of them have been with the lab for long periods of time, and their experience is really invaluable in supporting new mentors who are coming in. So we often have catch-ups. We use Zoom for meetings with mentors and organisers regularly, and sharing that experience is really valuable part of what we do.
So Alan, Jeevan's got a question, but I just want to jump in really quickly and say to you and Paul, be really keen to have you contribute to the next Australian Simulation Congress that SimAust is planning for next year. So I'll send you some notes about that and pass this on to the planning team, because I think what you guys are doing is brilliant. And yeah, we need you, and we'd be really glad to help in any way we can. So I'll do that after the call. And Jim, you've had a question. You've been very...
Yeah, thank you, Alan and Paul. Fantastic, videos and just real proof of how it's benefiting. One question around the learning preferences and styles of your audience.
Yeah.
And you're talking about kids picking up Unity, HTML, CSS. How much of the learning is provided in a structured manner? How much do they kind of learn on their own? So do you have a kind of a consistent approach, or it depends upon each of the participants?
It depends on the groups. In face-to-face labs, there might be a couple of participants, or the mentor might say, okay, so who wants to do HTML today? Who wants to do JavaScript today? Who wants to do Game Maker? Or, Unity is probably in the more advanced group. So there'll be a couple of participants who will work with that mentor. And we've got a library of tutorials, a couple of hundred tutorials on our website that we've had sort of mentors curate. Check for appropriate content, for quality, things like that. So they might use those tutorials, or they might have their own materials. There's just a world of high quality technology tutorials out there now. So they will just sit with the participants and they'll work through something, and that might go on for a couple of weeks. But, there's no compulsion for participants to be involved with that. It'll be okay, so who wants to do this today? And they'll generally start a session, even online, they'll start a session with introducing themselves, and they'll talk about, what they've been doing through the week. And and then, okay, so who wants to play Roblox? Who wants to play Minecraft? Who wants to do some JavaScript, or whatever it is that they're going to do? And then they'll split, either breakout room will go and play games, and the main room will stay and do some coding. But it's kind of up to the, that's where recruitment of mentors is really critical, because it is important that if participants choose to do those technology skill development activities, it's important that the mentors have got those skills. So yeah, but it's not a structured kind of activity. It's really a question of what people want to do on the day, and those activities might span a couple of weeks, and then they'll move on to something else.
So, Alan, just follow-up question would be that would the the kids benefit from having access to a high quality library of online courses? And
Yeah,
if they are, I'm happy to get you in touch with the likes of Pluralsight, who are a tech online library US company. We've got some really good video tutorials who might be able to provide you pro bono. So I'm happy to put you in touch if you're interested in a couple of those providers, and they would. And then there's some really good courses and of a wide range of topics. I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Be fantastic.
Thank you.
We're looking at developing, we're commissioning mentors to develop training materials for our online groups. Minecraft modding, we've got one doing Minecraft modding at the moment. There's a phone photography course that we're looking at. There's a couple of really basic 3D modeling applications leading onto Blender, where we can run sort of specialized sessions, but having access to professionally created resources would be amazing.
Thank you.
So you two can get in touch with each other, or do you want me to do that? You can do private messages in the chat if you'd like to sort of just make contact.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's probably the easiest way.
Look, I've got one question to someone who's been pretty quiet in this session here. If Dale can hear us there, I'd just like to ask, Dale being one of the two men with his mate Stefan who first, I guess, put this lightning in a bottle, or the black magic art of what the lab became. It was a real discovery, I think, at the time, Dale. That the intention was, I guess, that these kids on the spectrum, or kids particularly marginalised, had an affinity for technology and getting to know other kids with technology. But the social side of it surprised everyone, and really what came out of that very first room in Footscray 10 years ago, that Dale and Stefan put together with, at that time, the lab really was run for a couple of hours once a week at Dale's own software development company. So the mentors were basically, at the time, I guess, captive mentors. They were Dale's employees. But it really started something. And I'd just like to see if he's got any reflections about what he's seeing now. Hello there.
No, it's just, I think it's done as much for me as it's done for anybody. And watching a whole bunch of strangers talk about it has been just incredibly satisfying today. So thank you for continuing it on and making it grow, both Alan and Paul. Yeah, it's amazing that it's continued to live and it's continuing to change lives. And it's been so good for me, I'd say, in the same way. Like, it's helped my mental health throughout the years. To be able to attach yourself to something like this is as good for the people that are involved, as you know, as it is for the people that's supposedly benefiting. So I'm just really happy that it's continuing on. And now it's amazing, with kids of my own and all these other things going on, I'm sort of entering the stage where I'm going to need those services myself, and I'm using some of those skills with my daughter, who's sitting here playing Sims at the moment, and starting to make her games of her own using Scratch and whatnot. So it's just been something I feel very fortunate to be involved with, and yeah, very grateful to be a part of.
We've been watching for Ollie's registration, mate. We'll see that pop up at some stage.
Yeah, definitely. No, well, I've got an 11-year-old who will be a handful when she comes in, so sooner or later, for sure.
Alan and Paul, I've got a quick question for you, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, mate.
And maybe on a slight tangent, but related to what Dale has just showed us on his camera, there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of parental anxiety about watching your kids constantly in front of phones and iPads and laptops playing Roblox and Minecraft and Sims and the rest of it. Have you learned anything from this program for how to strike that balance between what is good use of computing technology and learning for the future versus what is often portrayed in the media as almost addicted use?
Yeah, look, it is a really difficult, I guess, balance for parents to strike with their kids, or to guide their kids into. There are organisations out there at the moment who are specialising in computer game addictions, as we know. I guess from our perspective, the few hours that they spend with us online and gaming and learning to go off, we're trying to turn, in very basic senses, we're trying to turn consumption into production, if you like. Trying to get the kids to leverage what they're learning to help, I guess, to help build the computer literacy. And for these guys, one very famous autistic person said, these kids can't sell themselves, but they can sell their abilities. So our focus is always to try to allow the parents to understand that it may well be that we're providing some advantages and skills for their kids that they will lean upon and benefit from when they get a little bit older. But equally, our message is also it's not the time that they're spending on the games as much as helping them to understand the other things that are priorities in their life, and trying to achieve that balance. So the gaming is not a problem, but if they're not doing other things, of course, then that's an issue that every single young fella or young person growing up in today's world need to get their head around. It is a global experiment that we're all involved with in terms of the amount of screen time and technology and the way that we interrelate now socially. And for many of the participants of the lab, they in many ways can make a valid choice that they would rather spend a lot of their social time through social media rather than face-to-face, which they might struggle with. So in our little world, it's a very complex and challenging question. And we try to provide as much advice to the kids as we can about when things are becoming a problem. If we think that they're becoming a bit obsessive about something, if they're really struggling with something, the first thing that we would say is maybe it's time to take a break. But it's giving them, I guess, a way to understand it. But the question is relevant, I think, not just for our kids, but for everyone. I don't think it's something we all quite understand yet, other than trying to make sure our kids have some balance.
And it's also about managing parents' expectations as well. We get a bit of sort of friction from parents about, well, they can play games at home on their own. And it's like, yeah, well, that's the point. They're not playing games on their own. They're playing games with other kids.
Mm.
And that's what's really important. That's what's happening.
And acquiring social and practical skills.
Absolutely. But, we make it very clear that the lab is not an educational experience. And it's kind of, to a degree, it's missing the point to come in and say, well, where's the coding skills? Where's the, go, well, that's what the child wants to do, then they'll drive that.
Yeah,
but
I appreciate
it's not just about playing games.
Yeah, I appreciate that you probably need to hide a bit behind that. It's not education, but in every possible way, it is really.
Yeah, it is. It's not a question of hiding. It's just, I guess, we're trying to manage parents' expectations that this isn't there are training groups out there for coding, and there are code camps, and there's all sorts of groups that do that. The lab is a little bit different in that it's a social experience, and that's what we're wanting to emphasize to parents.
And maybe that's the big takeaway for the wider community is the leaning on the social side of it and really highlighting the major importance that the mentors seem to play. That it's easy just to see a couple of guys who are just talking to a few kids over Zoom, but in fact what they're doing is probably the pivotal part of how this program works.
Yeah, I suspect so.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Matthew. Yeah.